Ken Whiting with PaddleTV with another paddling tip. And in this video, we're talking about some key upgrades that you can do for your gear this fall. Although this video is applicable to more than just fall paddling, really any time of the year, but a little bit more specifically this fall. And let's start with the biggest piece of gear you have as a kayaker, the kayak. Now, a lot of people bought kayaks over the past 5 years, in particular during the pandemic. A lot of new paddlers bought their first kayak, and a lot of experienced paddlers upgraded their kayaks. Now, it's probably been a couple of years since you've done that. And so it's time to reevaluate if you have the right kayak, because you have a couple of years under your belt now to learn what do you like about your kayak, what do you not like about your kayak, or wish it had or did something better. What's most important to you? Do you prioritize comfort maybe? Do you want a more comfortable kayak? Do you want a higher performing kayak, a kayak that travels faster? Or maybe the opposite, you want a kayak that's more stable, that gives you a bit more confidence. Whatever it is that you've learned over the past couple of years. And on top of that, you have learned more about paddling yourself. Maybe you've outgrown the kayak that you currently have, and it's time to choose a kayak that's more appropriate for the type of kayaking that you like to do now and want to do more of in the future. Now, I'm not going to go into how to choose a kayak. That's a big topic, and I did a full in-depth video about that, which I'll leave a link to in the description box down below. I'll also leave a link to a video I recently did for the top 3 kayaks in each class of kayaks that there is. Now, moving right along, the next piece of gear that you should really consider upgrading this fall is your paddle. Now, whether you're a beginner paddler who has an entry-level paddle or an experienced paddler who has maybe a mid-range paddle, or even, for that matter, a very experienced paddler who has a very solid high-end paddle, time to reevaluate. Is this the right paddle for the job? And that's going to start with length. Do you have the paddle that's the right length for you, your boat, and the type of paddling that you're doing? Now, the problem with having a paddle that's the wrong length is that if it's too short, you're going to find yourself reaching over the kayak to the other side of the kayak to take effective strokes. That's uncomfortable, that's awkward, and it takes way more energy than it needs to. Now, if the paddle's too long, then as you take strokes, your blades are going to be too far out to the side of your kayak. And that's going to mean, as much as propelling you forward, each stroke is going to be turning your kayak, not a very efficient way to travel. I have done a video about choosing the right paddle length, and I'll leave a link down below to that. But the biggest upgrade for most people when it comes to paddles is the materials that paddle is made from. Now, if you're starting with an entry-level paddle, it'll probably be aluminum shaft with plastic blades. Now, any paddle that gets the kayak moving, in my books, is a good paddle because it gets you on the water. But there is some real advantages to upgrading from an entry-level paddle to the next step up, which is a paddle like this. This is Aquabound's Stingray fiberglass. And that says it right there, fiberglass. Instead of aluminum shaft, it's got a fiberglass shaft. Instead of purely plastic blades, this has fiberglass reinforced plastic or nylon blades. The difference here is the shaft and the blades are going to be a lot stiffer. That means when you take a stroke, that power is going to be transferred into actual forward propulsion a lot more efficiently. Entry-level aluminum and plastic paddles are incredibly flexible, and you lose so much power with them. This fiberglass paddle is also going to be a lot lighter, and it's going to be a lot more durable. Now, an upgrade like this is you can upgrade a paddle like this for under $150. The next step up, if you already have a paddle in this kind of a range, then the next step up is going to be one of these two paddles here. Now, both of these paddles here have upgraded shafts. These are carbon shafts instead of fiberglass. Lighter, stiffer, and stronger. Lighter obviously makes it more comfortable to paddle over, especially over a long period of time. Stiffer makes it more powerful, transfers more of your power into actual propulsion. Now, the blades, there's two different types of blades here. You've got, well, we'll show you this one first. This is a carbon reinforced nylon blade. A little lighter, a little stronger, and a little more durable than the fiberglass reinforced blade. And so a nice upgrade in that $250 range for this. Now, the other upgrade this thing has is it's got Aquabound's VersaLock system. So it's a two-piece paddle, but it's telescoping. So you can change the length of this paddle by 15 centimeters. That's great for people who paddle different types of kayaks, but also don't know exactly what the ideal paddle length is for them. So they can adjust it a bit. Now, this paddle here, the Aquabound Tango, this is got the carbon shaft with a VersaLock telescoping shaft, but it has fiberglass laminate blades, much thinner, much lighter, and even stiffer, a little stiffer than this blade here. That being lighter, it feels more comfortable paddling, especially long days of paddling. Being a little stiffer, you get more power from it. The downside, it's not nearly as durable as the carbon reinforced nylon blades. I'm doing a much more in-depth video about upgrading paddles, so stay tuned for that one. I will leave a link in the description box below once I've filmed that one. Next up, we've got your PFD, another essential piece of gear that you should be wearing anytime you're on the water. Now, if you're new to kayaking, you might not have a paddling specific PFD. If you don't have a paddling specific PFD and are just using any kind of life jacket, then the big difference is a paddling specific PFD is cut so that it leaves your arms completely free to paddle. It doesn't get in the way of paddling. It also doesn't get away with swimming. And it doesn't get in the way as much when you're doing on-water rescues. Now that's a big thing because one of the biggest reasons people don't wear their PFDs when they're on the water is because they're not comfortable. They're not comfortable to paddle in or to swim in or do anything in. Well, if your PFD is comfortable, you don't really have that excuse. And that's the big reason to upgrade to a paddling specific PFD is because it's more comfortable to do all these things in, which means you're going to wear it. And this is the one I am using more often than not these days. This is NRS's Odyssey. This is a great all-round PFD. I use it for my big multi-day trips. I use it for river trips. I use it for any of those types of trips. Lots of pocket space, which is nice. 4 big pockets on the front. It has their Orbit Fit system so that it's not just one big chunk of foam. There's little layers of sheets of foam in here so that it wraps. It fits to you very well right out of the gates. Comes in a variety of sizes, and that just doesn't just mean strap length. That actually means a different fit, different amount of flotation. So it is important you get a PFD of the right size, and that's not normal. Most PFDs have been basically one size fits all. When you get a larger size, you're just getting larger straps, but small people are left with this same amount of flotation that a very large person would have, just shorter straps. Now, if you already have a paddling specific PFD that you're happy with, this is the other upgrade that you can consider. This sucker right here, this is NRS's Swig Hydration Pack. It's a 2-liter hydration bag. It attaches very easily to any of NRS's newer PFDs. Having water on you while you paddle, I've learned is so valuable for staying hydrated. Even though you're surrounded by water, it's so easy to forget to stay hydrated, to keep drinking, because oftentimes it means popping your skirt to get at that water bottle that isn't in a convenient spot. it's just not in your face. When you have that hose in front of you that's attached by a simple magnet, it's too easy to one-handed pull it to your mouth, keep drinking. There's a reason that hikers, mountain bikers, all sorts of other outdoor athletes use hydration packs. Makes sense for paddlers too. Next upgrade I would highly recommend this fall, spring, any of the shoulder seasons is upgrading your splash wear. Now, you might have a rain top, you might have a splash top, a very basic top to keep the wind and water off you. That's great. If you want even more comfort on the water, then I would recommend moving to a semi-dry top like this. This is NRS's Element. This is the premium one. This is their Gore-Tex Pro paddling top, semi-dry paddling top. What makes it semi-dry? Well, at the wrists, you have latex gaskets. Now, latex gaskets provide a pretty much 100% waterproof seal at your wrists. Unlike a dry top, though, that has latex gaskets at a latex gasket at the neck too, this one has a neoprene gasket, which is much more comfortable at the neck. It's not 100% waterproof, but it's pretty darn close and way more comfortable. Now, this top has a bunch of other really nice features like a storm hood. It's made from Gore-Tex, you know, the ultimate breathable, waterproof, durable fabric. It's got a double tunnel system for using with the skirt. Now, this is not a cheap piece of gear itself. This might not be the right piece of gear for you too, but upgrading your paddling top will dramatically improve your dryness on the water, which can, especially in the colder seasons, improve your safety on the water. Those are two pretty good reasons to upgrade. Speaking of upgrading, comfort and safety, the next big one is moving, and it's a big step up. It's moving to a dry suit. A dry suit like this is the NRS Axiom dry suit. Well, it's just that. The idea of a dry suit, if you haven't seen it before, is you can step into this dry suit, zip it up in your street clothes, and go for a paddle, go for a swim, and then pop out of the water, unzip, and you can walk out bone dry. That's not actually what you're gonna do, but in theory, you could do that. The dry suit has a latex gasket at the neck to be 100% dry, or pretty darn close to 100% dry. Gaskets at the wrist for the same reason. And it has built-in feet to go in your booties so that water can't get in from below either if you're swimming. This is their Axiom. It's their Mac Daddy dry suit. It is made from Gore-Tex as well. Now, you pay a pretty penny to upgrade to the Gore-Tex because it is the most waterproof, durable, breathable material that they've got. So it's not gonna be the right choice for everyone, but one upgrade that I would highly recommend spending the money on is this zipper right here, the Relief zipper. It's in front for guys. It's a dropout seat for women, and for the extra expense of having a Relief zipper, when you're on the water and you really need to go, and it's cold out and you need to take your whole dry suit off to relieve yourself, in that moment, you would pay the money that it would take to upgrade. So you might as well do it from the outset and get a dry suit with a Relief zipper. Next up, footwear. Upgrade your footwear this fall. And if you've watched my content, you've either seen me wearing these boots here or seen me talking about these boots here. These are NRS's Boundary boots. These have been my go-to cold water boots for, I think pretty close to 2 decades, a very long time. Now they've changed a little bit in that time. They've improved them, but they're still the same boot. They have got a pretty nice thick soles here. You can walk on any terrain and not feel it, but they're still very flexible so that the boots fit well in any type of boat and you get great grip on rocks. They got good traction on the bottom. Now, the joy of this boot is it's so high, and even though it's a neoprene tunnel, it's waterproof, unless, of course, you step in water that goes over the cuff and down. But even then, you can tighten up the cuff at the top. So even if you did step in really deep water, water's getting in, but it's not going to just rush in and fill up right away. This, in my opinion, is the ultimate cold weather boot. Springtime boot, fall time boot, even wintertime boot. If it's extra cold, I will wear a thin wool sock on my foot inside the dry suit, and then the dry suit and that sock go in here. So if you're going to buy this boot, you're going to be expecting to paddle in cold conditions. Expect to use a dry suit with the built-in socks in here, and potentially even a thin wool sock. That means you want to have space in here. Get this boot about definitely a half size larger than you might normally get it, so you have the space to wear something else in here. Last but not least, this is not a piece of paddling gear per se. This is a piece of camping gear, something I use on my kayak camping trips. This is Sea to Summit's Etherlite XR sleeping pad. Now, whether it's this one or not, I've been using this one. I use this one on both of my multi-day trips on the Des Moines River and then actually on the Georgian Bay trip. And it was the first time I'd used it and I loved it. And what I love about this thing is this small little package here. This is the biggest version of this sleeping pad. It's the wide and long rectangular pad. You can get this even smaller and lighter than this, which is great for kayak camping. But this is the big version. And not only is it nice and big, it's 4 inches thick. As the years have gone by, my interest in sleeping on a thin sleeping pad that minimizes space, but also minimizes uncomfort, that interest is gone. I am way more interested in a fat sleeping pad that will maximize my comfort while camping, give me the best sleep possible. And now you can get that in a small, light little package. This is a great upgrade for kayak camping trips. There you go. That's what I've got. If you're more interested in the gear that I actually use myself, I did a video recently about what I specifically took on my last multi-day paddling adventure, a 5-day kayaking trip on Georgian Bay. I do a complete breakdown of the kayaking gear that I use, as well as the camping gear that I use. Probably some good ideas in there if you're looking for some ideas for gifts for yourself or others. So I'll leave a link down below. Otherwise, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, give it a thumbs up. Stay tuned, because even though it's that time of the year where the paddling season is winding down, I am going to continue to release videos throughout the colder months. Not as often, but I will keep doing it. Give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below or leave a question down below. I'll get back to that as soon as possible. And stay tuned, because there's a lot more paddling tips, gear reviews, and paddling adventures coming your way. Oh, don't forget to check out my other YouTube channel, Ken Whiting Adventures, for real paddling adventures.